All right, good evening, everyone. The time is 6:31, November 14th, 2023, Abington Conservation Commission meeting. First item is SE 084-563, notice intent located at 0 Summer Street.
I'll give my plans or what?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. For the record, Phil Cordero from Allen and Major Associates. I'm here joined by Mr. Jim Lambert, representing WP East Acquisitions. This evening, Mark couldn't join us, unfortunately. So we're happy to return it in front of the Commission, give you an update as to where we are, and then hopefully we can set an agenda moving forward. When we left you a couple of weeks ago, we had two open matters. One was receipt of the stormwater peer review from your consultant at BSC Group. We did receive that the week after our last meeting. We have since responded to that. They had a few technical clarifications that they wanted us to address. So the Commission should have in your record an updated package of materials to address BSC's comments. Nothing that changed the design intent, just some clarifications in terms of what we were doing, which we fully expected given they were sort of coming on board, jumping into the middle of this, given all of the extensive review that had been done during the ZBA. They asked us to check a few boxes. We were certainly happy to do that. I have that material here. If the Commission would like me to walk through it, I'm happy to. At your discretion, whatever you'd like to hear about on that front. The other matter that we talked about is, we were very sensitive and we listened to the Commission in terms of what your concerns are. And when we left here, we made a promise to you to review what we could do relative to the impacts adjacent to the BBW, relative to some of the parking that we had there. And as part of the revised materials that were sought to address BSC's comments, we also embedded into there some revisions that we hope address your concerns. And those are primarily focused, excuse me, this is the newer plan. The older plan is here. I'm happy to show them side by each so that way the Commission can review the changes. But what we've worked to do since the last meeting is the Commission may recall we had a long parking garage located along the pond. We also had some parking spaces located along, very adjacent to that BVW. Hearing and citing those concerns that you wanted us to leave some of that natural buffer in place as preference, we have removed the garage. We have relocated it elsewhere on site. We have removed the parking spaces that were encroaching close to the border and vegetated wetland area. We do still maintain some surface parking spaces in that location out of necessity. We do have a number of parking spaces as dictated by our comprehensive permit. So what we've done is essentially shuffle the spaces around to improve, hopefully, the Commission's perspective to the parking, but the same number is a net zero. So where we've moved the spaces is as outside of the Commission's purview as we can. So along the northerly portion of our stormwater basin on the north side of the BVW system, we converted these spaces to compact spaces, which allow us to go a little bit narrower, which allowed us to get 2 additional spaces along that same line of parking. And then further northerly, we had a slightly larger dog park with some green space. We've eliminated some of the green space island. We've made the dog park smaller to gain those additional spaces back. So essentially taking from here and moving to here. The garage that we did have here, we downsized and we've moved it up into the northeast corner of the site. And then we have 1 parking space sort of sandwiched between garage A and C. Again, with the idea being a net zero situation on the parking. But what we were able to do is we're just shy of 30 feet from the wetland line at this point now, at this closest point, which is the back of the curbing here. Everything else expands beyond that along the line of the BVW adjacent to the pond. And we're approximately 12 feet from the BVW line, the finger that was added as part of the ANRAD process at the end, whereas before we did have a retaining wall that supported grade in there, that supported those parking spaces. With the parking spaces removed, the retaining wall is removed, and we'll just have a transitional slope from the elevation of the parking lot down to that area. So we hope that the commission would see those as favorable improvements to the site plan. Again, just to reiterate, there are elements of the plan that we can change, elements of the plan that we can't change. So we were certainly looking to strike that balance between the comprehensive permit as issued by the Zoning Board of Appeals and the very weighty concerns that this commission has expressed through several meetings. Just to let you know where these have to go, because it is a change to the site plans, we do have to seek a permit modification from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Any changes to a comprehensive permit have to require follow-up review where they make a determination on the changes. So while we believe them to be favorable for the commission, we do want to be transparent and make you aware that they do have to go back in front of the other board. If you are in favor of this, obviously if you are supportive of the changes, I'm sure the ZBA would look favorably on that, but I would just want you to understand what the whole process looks like.
So then we would do is basically just, if we vote to approve, we wouldn't vote to approve, but we just come to an understanding tonight that we will approve this plan, and then you'll go back to zoning and then hopefully get their approval and then come back and then we
Yeah.
do it that way?
Yeah, well, sure. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Jim Lambert, WP East Acquisitions. I can answer that question. So we thought a lot about how to mechanically make this work. And we've actually had reached out to the ZBA and town council about, this action and this plan revision and try to figure out how we would do that mechanically. Their response was, find out if you guys supported it, first and foremost, right? So if you support the changes, then we would go and approach the ZBA formally and submit for what they call an insubstantial change or a minor modification. So if you do support it, that would be our plan. So there's a couple of different ways we can do it. As you outlined, sir, we could go to the ZBA and come back. We could also insert language in an order of conditions that basically says that we have to go to the ZBA and get this done or look to get this done.
And then basically the order of conditions would only be valid if if it's approved.
Correct, but I guess the one thing I do want to express is if the ZBA does not deem these changes insubstantial, it would then trigger a public hearing process again at the ZBA, which we want to avoid. As you well know, we've been in front of several different boards for a very long time in town, and there's a certain set of rules that kind of dictate what is substantial and what's not substantial. It's not a perfect science, so we would hope that they would see these as insubstantial, but if that were not the case and it were to trigger a public hearing, that's really not a path that we want to pursue, but until we get that determination, we don't know the answer to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we want to discuss the stormwater first, if anybody has any questions on that?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to decide, let's say that we say this is good, goes back to zoning, and
No, I want to
they say,
talk about the stormwater first, then we'll go step by step.
okay,
Does anybody have any questions on the stormwater peer review?
no,
All right, now we'll just go on the other changes. Does anybody have any questions on the revised plan?
I think my biggest question is where you have that, you remove the garage, yep, you put it up there, but now that other corner that you're talking about, yep, where you had that, yep, right in that area, is there gonna be any sort of fencing or anything like that? My concern is that's still part of our area of protection, and I'm just looking at it from a snow removal standpoint. Is that gonna be a dump zone? Is that something that we're gonna make sure is not? Is there gonna be a fence, things of that nature?
There's a guardrail.
Okay.
So there's a guardrail located with my finger between these 2 points to make sure nothing goes over the guardrail. So no, it's not intended for snow. We did not On our layout of materials plan, we have areas allocated for snow storage. None of these areas are part of that. The area of the site that's delegated for snow storage is actually along this corridor here. You may wonder what creates this intentional green strip. That's for snow management back there, outside of the buffer zone.
We could probably, if we approve order of conditions, we could ask them to put some signs. No,
Well, I'm just thinking that the size of that lot, and if we have, we'll call it the 2015 season, you know there's gonna be bobcats, you know there's gonna be front-end loaders, you know they're gonna be looking for places to store and dump snow.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a low barrier, it's gonna be a pick up and go, just because
Yep.
it's not typical F-350, whatever the case, pushing snow, that's gonna be an area to dump.
Yep.
You know?
So we discussed snow removal at great length with the zoning board of appeals. Because the site is very largely covered, the concern is exactly what you cited, sir. In the cover of darkness on a heavy snowfall, it's the wild, wild west, all bets are off. So the comprehensive permit put into place a specific snow management plan that the applicant has to follow, which includes no dumping in any regulated areas, certainly not wetland resource areas. If you deem that area, there's no dumping there. We are required to provide direct access to Monahan Crossing as the first level of snow removal. We're required to provide snow removal services around the perimeter of the building at the request of the fire department. And then secondary, or I guess tertiary snow removal is parking spaces, resident accommodations, and sidewalk. The residents are, of course, primary to the development, but in terms of order of operations from the town's perspective, continuity through Monahan Crossing was paramount, fire circulation for life safety, of course, the same level, and then we have to get to everybody else. If we have a 2015 season, we're regulated by Mass DEP that the snow has to be removed off-site. It has to go through approved trucking routes, and it has to go to an approved receptacle, which DEP has certain areas that we can deposit snow. So those are already in place, and they're already embedded into the comprehensive permit,
Thank you.
certainly.
So where you moved the building that was there up, yes. Are you planning on any additional storm drains along where that building was? I mean, yeah.
So no additional storm drainage. So because the parking is a net zero, we shifted an impervious garage to impervious parking surfaces. So what was here as a garage is now here as a smaller garage and is here as slightly larger parking areas. So the impervious cover remains the same, and no additional, no increased stormwater management is required because of that. Just for clarity, as a refresher, none of this area drains directly to the pond.
So it's pitched.
Everything from the curb line, the darkened black line,
Right.
pitches towards the parking field,
Right.
is moved in a westerly direction for treatment through the stormwater pond here, the control pond, which is then released to the BVW to recharge its water bearing capacity, and then outlets through the municipal flared end right at the intersection of Summer Street behind the DPW building. So that path remains the same, but no additional stormwater management.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Anybody else have any questions? You guys all get a chance to read Matthew's comments? Anybody have any comments on those? What Matthew had to say?
Well, I mean, he says the project's proposed work in the buffer zone to the BVW will result in alteration to the adjacent wetland by exposing wetlands to new regimes of temperature, isolation, humidity, which will affect the vegetation community composed in the structure, soil structure, and hydrological regime. You know, and that is due to the proximity of the parking to that pond. I do see where you've extended the buffer from 18 feet, which it was, I believe in that area, to 29.
29, that's right.
So that's an 11-foot increase.
So Through the chair, we've increased it as much as we can, so the intent of that is to remain in its current state.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
All right.
I'm done. No.
Then I will open it up to the public. Anybody have any questions? Okay, not seeing any. So I'll close public hearing. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion, we close the public hearing on 0 Summer Street?
You have a second?
Second.
Gene seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Somebody want to make a motion at this time?
So my question is, if,
Or do you want to discuss anything further before we make a motion? Sorry.
yeah, so if we approve this and it goes back to zoning and they say no, then it has to come back here.
Then it would come back here, you'd ask us to probably vote on the original plan, right?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I mean, to the extent we can aid you in, if the commission is so inclined to do a condition that we're asking for because of the additional burden of a comprehensive permit, is should the zoning board of appeals not approve the permit or not deem it insubstantial, we would in fact default back to the older plan, and we would ask you for approval. So the condition could be written that if the ZBA approves this as the insubstantial change, this is the plan, it's recorded in your order. Should they not, then this plan would be what is approved under the order. With the appropriate dates as
Right.
referenced, Mr. Chair.
Can I just, yeah, I just need to see it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I know too, on Matthew's email from, I believe it was last Friday or Thursday, you know, he was saying that even if we, with the changes that they've made, even if we were to deny the revised plan, that he thinks that there's not enough there for DEP to uphold our denial. So then they would basically theoretically approve it, and then they would be the ones to oversee it, write up the order of conditions for it, whereas we can.
Well, they would have a site walk, and then we would discuss order of conditions together
With DEP?
with DEP. I was asking Andrew about this the other day, because I wasn't certain. And he said, yeah, you're not out of the process if you deny. If they have a superseding order of conditions, they go on a site walk with us and the applicant, and then we discuss what the order of conditions would be.
Now, can we add to those conditions, or it's just DEP?
DEP would write them up, but we could say, hey, we want these conditions added, given the, the information on the site. And they would say, sure, yep, let's add that, or no. I was
Okay.
looking up an example of one in a town, and they have the standard conditions that are in the superseding order, and then they had like 4 pages of additional special ones that they had added after they had the site walk.
Okay.
If I may, through the chair, so, DEP is obviously very communicative, and your member is correct in terms of if the project is ultimately denied, and we do solicit an appeal through DEP, there is a site walk, it is noticed, the commission is asked to attend, we're asked to attend, and it's to educate, Mass DEP. Our experience with the appeal process, and I don't want to disagree with you, or I guess respectfully disagree, DEP is the regulatory authority that will choose the conditions. They do ultimately get to decide whether to incorporate your suggestions, just like they might incorporate our suggestions into it. But they are the regulatory body that they could, in fact, overrule this commission. That's our experience with the process with DEP.
Right, and I don't think that's any different than what I was saying, in that we would have, they would still be the people to make the decision, but they would listen to what we'd have to say, and it would be based on the site. You know, that, in looking at the form, they have standard ones, but they would also can add special order of conditions based on our input,
But
if they
might not
agree.
they might not take your suggestions, my suggestions.
No.
That's correct, Mr. Chair. They may not. Again, I don't want to presume anything.
Right.
Every case is unique, but from my experience with Mass DEP is that the commission's opinion is what's issued in the order, whether it's an approval or denial, approval with conditions, however the commission chooses to act. DEP obviously reads that as that's the commission's opinion on record, and then any commentary in the field is for consideration. So again, not stepping in the shoes of Mass DEP or at all arguing with what your consultant or what DEP told you directly. I'm just sharing our experience with them on a number of appeals.
I don't want to speak ill of DEP, but I would venture to guess that we would make stronger orders of condition than DEP would.
Mm.
Oh, I think we would. Plus, we'd be able to have oversight on the
We'd still-
on the work.
I think we'd still have oversight on the work, though.
We've had, since I've been on the commission, I've seen 3 superseding orders come before us, and we've had no communication with DEP about going out to do any site walks or anything like that, so.
Well, it's not in their backyard, they don't necessarily need to pay attention to it, so.
It's not my backyard, but it's close enough.
It's collectively
Yeah.
our backyard.
Yeah,
But is that just because we've never, I mean, there are a lot of things as a fairly new board that people hadn't been on top of in the past, and is that another example?
and what's to say this, what's to say this wouldn't fall through the cracks too?
Right.
And I would remind the commission, obviously, regarding oversight, one of Matthew's initial comments, we had talked about third-party inspectors, and I think, Mr. Chair, sorry to put you on the spot, I think you agreed to be the eyes for the commission, so you have direct oversight.
Right. Until I get somebody else certified.
The commission's chair or authorized
Designee.
representative, whatever you would like.
Anybody have anything else? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve SE 084-563.
I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
3-2. So the order of conditions, I'm probably gonna set up a special meeting next week to go over those, because I haven't had time to really pick through them yet. So I'm waiting to hear back from Matthew to see when he's available to do it, to help us go through it. You wanna be,
We would love to be part of the process to the extent we can share and participate in it. Obviously, it's this commission's direction,
Yep.
but we're here to help wherever
Okay.
we can. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm gonna skip ahead to, we're waiting for our admin to get here with some paperwork. So I'm gonna skip ahead to update on the enforcement order restoration located at 0 Hancock Street. I'm gonna recuse myself from this, so Lynn,
Okay.
take it away.
Great, thanks. So Jean and I went on a site walk to 0 Hancock Street, and everything that we
Looked great.
asked, it looked really good. Sent a lot of good pictures, and we had asked them to create a channel about 3 feet wide, and you could see where Mother Nature was very happy to continue. It was trying to get those two wetlands to connect anyway. But there's a number of different vegetation that had been dying, so we asked some replacement and to plant some really tall trees, which she was able to get and
Nice.
planted. So it looks really good. There had been seed, trying to grow, coming in. The only two things were, they got some nice signs, but they put them on the tree. And then they had some on posts, which is what we had requested, but there were a couple on the trees, so we said take those down.
So that if anybody was mountain biking through there, they'd see the post and the path they were taking versus looking at the trees,
Yeah.
so it just made sense to.
But something that was a little bit worrying is they had basically kind of roped off some areas, so if somebody came through, they would see the rope.
Okay.
But then we said, well, someone comes biking through, and
Yep.
so we said, you need to do something else with that. So she put pink flagging on it, but I just said, some mountain bikers coming through 6 a.m. on November, 24th or something, and they're not gonna see this black thing with one pink flag. So we asked them to do something else, and I don't know what they've decided on doing. But
all the silt socks and everything were all removed,
Yep,
and it
all
looks really good.
yeah,
Nice.
all the stuff, area 1, really, really good.
Yeah.
Area 2 is the area that's still kind of struggling, but,
Mhm.
they put in a pretty good effort and listened to what we wanted, did what we asked, and,
Right. The
Sounds
trees
like it
that
could
were put
potentially
in,
rebound.
yeah.
yeah, the trees that were put in weren't put exactly into because of they would have to bring out in a big machine to do it. So they actually planted it up further on the hill, which actually looks a lot nicer, I think. Because the the high bush blueberries are really doing very well.
Yeah, they were really great.
Yeah.
Doing much better than what I
They look
thought.
really good.
So,
Perfect.
yeah, it's all good. So any other questions about it?
Nope, sounds like it's turned around and going in the right direction.
It is, it looks really good. She did a nice
And
job.
then they're gonna come before us in the springtime.
Yep.
They'll give a report, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get another report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, so I guess we have to vote to approve their restoration update?
I'll
Or just move
I'll
on.
make a motion that we approve their update for 0 Hancock Street.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous?
You guys all set?
Yep.
Did I get out of the meeting in the other room?
Apologies,
All right, so next up, discussion on letter received from DEP regarding 267 North Quincy Street. So there was a snafu with the certified mail. It was delivered to another potential issue. So Tony's gonna send out another recertified mail to the correct property owner for that.
What,
And if that doesn't,
267?
yeah, and if that doesn't go through, then we're gonna go through the legal channels. I sat down with town manager last Wednesday, so if we don't hear anything back, we're gonna go through town council to get on the property. Next, complaint, course of action, update, dependable tree. Now, Lynn, Jean, I know you guys were handling that. Is anybody here from Dependable Tree? You want to just get up to the podium, just name and address?
Good evening. My name is Brian Donahoe. I am Vice President with Goldman Environmental Consulting in Braintree. I'm here representing Ragnar Olivier, who's the owner of Dependable Tree. And I think you may have had a sketch plan that I did based on my wetland flagging did last week. Wait for some rain to look at hydrology wells there because we didn't have rain for a while. I have a larger plan, but this is kind of the introduction of my activity with this project. Briefly though, what I did was, I do have a history with this site. I think I mentioned that in the email I sent, knowing knowing the family in the landscaping business going back 30 years. So I know the Frank family, Frank and Mankiewicz.
Right.
Back in the old days, with all his buddies that would hang out there on Saturdays and go to mountains and whatever. Saturdays. But the interesting about this site, that most of what I saw had been altered for a long time by activities by Mr. By the business he had before. It's changed. Some, for example, in the back of his logs and some other materials, used to be a cornfield. He used to have corn and different vegetables that it's stockpiled a lot. Other areas, he had other materials, equipment he stored there. But pretty much everything I saw on this site visit was already altered in the past. That doesn't mean that pretty much everything here was within the buffer zone. All the work that's currently on site is within the buffer zone. And the sketch that I put together is based on vegetation and limited soil. This soil is very, very rocky. But what's interesting is if you take the flagging, particularly on the north side, it matches almost verbatim, exactly, with the sufficient soil maps done for the county. And it's very, very clear line of demarcation where you get this. It's a very mineral soil. There's very little evidence of any kind of eudoxomorphic characteristics because it's a mineral soil right in the top of a watershed. As I point out, two of the small little intermittent streams flow towards the wetland in Weymouth, eventually getting into Gray Pond, and the one that goes out into Route 139 actually hits the Taunton River. So we're right on the top of the watershed. Bedrock's down about 6 or 8 feet, but it's a very, very rocky soil. It sheath flows very quickly, but it also drains very quickly, which is why the majority of the site is in a wetland, because it does drain, and it does dry up. Tends to get arid, tends to dry up a lot. But the demarcation line between the upland of the wetland line are 2.5 foot white pine, very solid, very stable. Beech oak coming in there. These are all back upland plants. It's a very clear line. And then to the wetland side of that, very narrow wetland with an intermittent stream is a very kind of a glade soil. But again, there's no evidence of hydrosulfide. There's nothing there. There's no accumulation of muck, except in some small little depressions along the intermittent stream. So it's interesting in that regard. It's very similar soils from Braintree all the way down to New Hanover, heading towards Hanson, that direction. The same kind of soil, just follows a ridge. One half goes to the Taunton, the other half goes the other way. We're right on the top of that. Beyond it, it's all sand. So that's kind of my introduction to this. Wanted to know what the commission's, I know what your concerns are, but what you would like to do, how you'd like to move forward. I have got the land surveyor who did the original plans ready to do a more detailed plan, which we'll need. I also point out there's some stone walls that are not shown on the plan of record that I found from old pasture probably, but they do demark the line of where the log stockpiling area is. So I'll open it up to you.
Okay. So on this plan, you have this sort of greenish, is this supposed to indicate like the wetland line? Because I can see the flagging on here, but I didn't know what the green.
I put the, let's see if that is right now.
Right here.
Yeah, this is the wetland line. That's the edge of the wetland. And this is the stream, this intermittent stream that starts up here. It's intermittent, and this is another one that goes this way. They meet off in the Weymouth.
Okay.
And then this is the stream that comes this way out to
So there's 3 streams.
3 intermittent streams.
Okay.
Headwater streams.
Headwater streams. Okay.
The little rate of flow is related to precipitation, which is why I wanted to make sure. We had 3/10 of an inch of rain within 5 hours of me going there. And they were not flowing, there were little pockets, and these little isolated pockets. The one to the stream that goes out to 139 was flowing only on the property. As soon as you got farther up, it was dry.
I noticed when we were there at the last visit, when you drove in from 139, the parking area had been expanded where it wasn't there before. And I'm not sure how much fill was brought in next to the stream here.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I understand talking to Mr. Olvera that apparently he misunderstood or assumed that he could straighten out that line. So that's again the reason why we should be here to figure that out. All of that's been filled though. But that whole edge of that stream has been channelized from a long time ago. There's you can see the rocks that have been put up to channelize it, and there's really no BBW on either side of that to speak of. So it's in the buffer zone, but that intermittent stream has been channelized like that with the pond and the goldfish in it. That's been there for quite a long time. The channel goes up another 100 feet or so, and then there's a ditch that goes off to the right, to the northeast.
But even an intermittent stream has a riverfront protection area, is that
No,
correct?
no.
It doesn't, an intermittent does
No.
not.
Only a perennial stream.
Yeah.
And this isn't mapped at all as a perennial stream on USGS. And,
They're not on the, okay.
no, this isn't show plan in USGS.
We have in our bylaw 200-foot protection for rivers, ponds, and lakes, but it's unclear whether the town people voted for it to have like a riverfront zone, like with the Rivers Protection Act, or whether it's just, let's just make the buffer bigger. Unfortunately, I have no idea. I didn't live here at the time, so I don't know what
Even
the
if
intent
you,
was.
Going back to the Rivers Act, this would have all been exempt as it was altered before.
Except what was recently done.
Except if it was actually recently,
Yeah.
whatever that is, that little bit would be.
Right, and I'm just saying, when we first went out there, I think Alex, I went out with you, and there was a small area to drive into the property, and then when we went a few months later, there's a big parking area.
I haven't been there since like the parking area, but
Yeah,
I remember way
Yeah.
back there.
yeah. So where the cornfield was, was that all filled in prior to by Mr.?
Yeah, what's filled in there right now is not too much fill, actually. It's mainly organic material. Looks like the results of wood mulch. I asked him to speak to that a little bit.
Mainly wood chip.
Yeah, wood chip mulch, that kind of material. That was he has taken a lot of that out since you've been out there. But then as you get to the back part of that, in the far northwest corner, there's still a lot of pine logs that are stockpiled, and those haven't moved.
And those piles are right by that stream? Is that what we're talking about? right here?
They're about 100, not 100, they're about 50, 60 feet from the intermittent stream and about 40, 50 feet from the edge of the wetland. Wetland is very narrow, so the topography comes up pretty quick within a couple, 2 or 3 feet up. And that's where you see this change in the soils, and pretty dramatic, actually.
But there's still a buffer zone for the wetland, correct?
There's still a buffer zone, yeah.
And that's not on your map here?
No. But there is a scale in that most of what you see, we're talking about would be within 30 or 40, 50 feet, depending on where you are, is encroached. But again, it's encroached, it's been there for a long time, encroaching in the buffer zone of that wetland.
Well, the issue is any sort of fill or changing in grade doesn't really have a time stamp. There's no grandfathering in for that. I guess the exception is if the property changes hands, and then you've got that 3-year thing. I was talking to Andrew at DEP about this and asking what he was, he said I think the thing is we need to know if there was any fill that was brought in, any changing of the grade, so we can, make that judgment. If there's clearing of vegetation, that's like a one-time thing, but an ongoing violation is having fill or changing of grades. So, do you have any knowledge about that?
I really don't.
Okay.
It'd be very difficult to determine that, I think, even because it's been offered so much in the past. With the exception of the leaf mulch and the bark mulch that was stockpiled, the grades don't seem to change. I can go back, what I have done is go back to Google Earth and look at the history a little bit. What I did see there is it really hasn't changed much. You gotta find a good winter picture of it, because otherwise it doesn't work. But I can't see more than a foot difference. When you go out there, just again, I'm going back on history. The grades that are around it, the elevation of where the work has been done, going back 30, 40, 50 years, it's always been flat like that. So there's no, to me, there's no discernible change, other than maybe pile of the logs that are there, and the pile of wood chips has been knocked down now. If you look around, the grade is pretty much flat as it existed this past weekend. So that to me looks pretty much the same as it was before. And it's stable. I mean, it's not eroding. It's not that kind of a situation either. He has put up silt fence around most of this at your request.
Yes.
Where the plastic barriers were on this portion of the property,
Right?
when I think I first went out there with Alex, Alex had pointed out a lot of tree stumps and stuff that had been pushed into there. Do we know if those have been removed or anything?
You mean to the left there?
Yeah, remember when we were way over?
Yeah, and then I went down to an embankment.
Right,
Yeah.
were those tree stumps?
They're all gone. Yeah, I didn't see them last week.
Because, I mean, we couldn't, the barriers are pretty
Yeah.
big, those plastic
Now you can
barriers.
walk, those are all neatly in line now, and you can
Right.
actually, the slope has been graded down nicely, there's silt fences at the bottom, and then just beyond that is where you start getting into the beginning of an intermittent stream where the cemetery is. It comes out of the cemetery, it just drains the surface drains, because if you go any further up, you go into another watershed. So there's really not a lot of catchment for these streams, which again goes back to what, it's so tight, the soil's so tight, when it rains, it flows and then it stops.
I think I'd like to see on the plan where the buffer zones are, so that we know, and that the owner knows where he should and shouldn't be as far as, disturbing areas.
And that's a sketch based on my measuring, not as a land surveyor, although I am a land surveyor, father's a land surveyor, this should be surveyed just to get it accurate and pick up these other features I found, the stone walls, for example, that aren't on the main plan. So we could do that and then get a buffer zone back to you, so you can react to that. Is there anything that, other than what Mr. Oliveira's done, that you want to do besides the silt fence? Any other thoughts?
Well, I think the new filling, I mean, I don't know how much fill was brought in, I know nothing about it.
Thing is, if the fill's been brought in that long ago,
It was just brought in this summer.
For that one area.
no,
this year.
I'm thinking out in the back.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm talking about
Okay.
along the parking,
All
the
this-
new parking lot area.
But yeah, okay.
I think what Mr. Oliveira did was brought in some material to put pavement, it's scarified.
Yeah, it looks like
pavement.
reprocessed
Rounded
asphalt.
Basically, he
Asphalt milling.
stabilized what was already there, because there was a gravel parking lot there. I think it's dramatic looking because it's black, but I think there was always a gravel parking lot there.
Well, I think when we first went in there, there was some shrubbery, not shrubbery, but maybe some small trees or something. And then when we drove in, I'm like, wow, this is a new parking area. I mean, you couldn't help but notice it was much
Yeah, I can't
larger.
really speak to that, I guess, but it looked similar to what I
Yeah.
knew it was before. But again, just to get some guidance from you as to what, if we get the plan together, then he can react to and have a discussion with you about what he'd like to do. At this point, the silt fence works as far as any kind of, but again, it's very flat, so there's not a lot of relief.
When we were first out there, I mean, Alex had pointed out what needed to be moved, and he did move the giant pile of wood chips that was over here, but just above the pond, that little man-made pond.
Right.
All that was moved out of that wetland area because, I mean, it was actually right in it, so that was a good thing.
There was logs like right in here too.
Yeah.
Were those moved?
Well, that's what I was just asking, because that's what, he's got these big plastic barrier things.
There are no logs there at all, you
These
know.
are all the logs and stuff that were here are all moved out back.
Okay.
But, and I was
Cause
just
that was
stumped.
yeah, those are gone.
Right.
What they're saying.
Yeah. The only thing I saw different was, remember when we pulled in this way and then you saw it, it's like all,
They have to have a parking area somewhere. That's.
right, but before they were all over here, and now it's like all over here. That was all, I don't
mean,
know how much was
if
brought
you're
in.
really, if we're really concerned, I say just maybe like just put a little beat like silt fence right along that little pond. You know what I'm talking about with a fish in.
Yeah.
I mean.
Because, I mean, there's your wetland up here where you had to move the wood chips from, remember?
Yeah.
And that-
Which they
that's-
move.
Right, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're doing.
The problem is, if you say, just put silt fence down, what happens in a year from now? Probably after, actually, if we get a bad, like we talked about before, if you get a bad winter, what's gonna happen to that silt fence?
It's gonna
Get
collapse.
destroyed.
And who's gonna tell them to put it back up? And we need to, I don't know if it's either an RDA or a notice of intent of what they wanna do and what we're comfortable letting them do. That way, it's always on record. Now, if there's ever an issue in the future,
Right.
you say, well, this is what we approved.
Right, because if they want to work within the buffer, they should be filing an RDA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at least,
Well, no,
at least.
NOI.
Well, an RDA first, and then the determination for that would say where they go from there, depending on whether it's positive or negative, correct?
Yes.
Or they can just do a notice of intent and save themselves the.
Okay, they can do that
Save
too.
money
Notice of
and
intent
time.
would get to
Yeah.
the answer
Okay.
much quicker.
Right,
There's no doubt this is in the buffer zone, so
Yeah.
Alright.
a 90 is not necessary.
yeah,
Okay.
But to put, my suggestion would be to take these areas that you're looking at and putting a berm, a soil, like the material you put down, that a very stable berm kind of material, so it keeps water on the site, and drains it to someplace where you can treat it. Or through a buffer zone, a buffer strip, which is around that pond already. There's like a 15 to 20 foot grass strip, and have it go through there, goes into the stream, and then out into where it's been doing all along. But with this new material down, it's a lot less erosive than what was there before.
Yeah, that is thick stuff.
Yeah, it's being processed.
I do that in my driveway every year. It's the best stuff in the world. It's cheap.
but the milling,
You mill it.
oh yeah,
As long as you get sun on it.
don't let it sit too long,
Hardens
Drop
up
it
with
1,000
Like
feet long, so-
concrete, yeah.
Yeah, it hardens.
Yeah.
hell yeah.
Pain.
But in terms of the back, I mean, as long as it's a buffer zone and a silt fence, the buffer zone that is there between the wetland, the existing upland buffer zone is pretty sufficient to take care of, what's there. But again, if you have a berm so that flow tends to stay on and percolate through the site as opposed to running off, that would be the best way to deal with it.
And perhaps maybe along the new parking area where it was expanded, some sort of fencing or something so that it doesn't go beyond.
Yeah.
When people back up, I
Exactly.
mean, if
yeah.
they don't
Well, that
look.
would be a safety reason too, because
Yeah.
it pretty quickly drops into that.
Yeah, there's a lot of rocks in this, yeah.
But if he's plowing it, he'll be plowing it to the back instead of into the stream. He'll be plowing it from the street back into the property. Because the parking lot he really needs is out front where all the main buildings are. If he's gonna get back with heavy equipment, that's not a problem with the snow.
So they have to file an NOI.
Okay?
Basically, after the fact,
Yeah,
NOI.
So an NOI, the goal, just so I'm clear, the goal is to do a site grading plan, stormwater kind of plan to stabilize what's there, and you can write out order conditions.
yeah. That way it's legal.
Do we have a formal delineation of the wetlands?
That's what he was
This
working
is
on.
Yeah,
just
that's-
a-
This is just a rough one,
Yeah.
yeah. We need a formal delineation.
Yeah, that's the, that'll all be picked up on the plan, and I'll have the limited soil borings that we could get, just to show you, there's several trees. I put this in the, yeah, it's just like mine. Actually, I made copies of this for you.
Thank you.
This is the superficial soil map. So there's the area we're talking about with the logs. If you follow, my line basically goes right along this, comes out, and it goes this way. This is all wetland based on the, so this actually, because I cut the area off, this
Yep.
actually wraps around.
Yep.
So it goes right there. This is where the stream is. The other stream goes here, and this other stream goes like that way. But the ridge, right down the middle.
Wow.
But this is all, I have actually copies which show the, you see what looks like a glade soil? It's not, it's just so mineral material, mineral based. There's no color to it, it's a light gray, but these are all boulders, and where you see a hole, the boulder's on the ground. This is a tree, there's not a space between boulders on this side. I mean, it is a very difficult, you need a backhoe to get into this. But groundwater is down 6 feet. And you have surface streams going this way, and they dry up, but groundwater is down below. That's kind of what makes this kind of soil unique. I did another job in Holbrook that was very similar to this. Kind of interesting, but I do have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I guess take this off the agenda till we get, when do you, how soon before you think you can get us a notice of
Let me
intent?
just talk. This is kind of a little package on the soil piece of it,
Thank you.
and I highlighted it. You can see that they. For everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, probably it'll take me a few weeks at least.
Okay.
We need to get a plan, survey, and then put all that together.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody have any questions about the dependable tree? All right. Next up, SE 084-567, notice of intent for Rose Place. My plan? Huh?
I think that's all.
No, no. you want
Oh,
your plan?
yeah. Yours is sturdier.
Huh?
Yours is sturdier.
Yeah.
Copy.
I think so.
Do you have? I don't have that one. You can share.
We share.
We'll share.
All right.
Huh?
We go to page 30.
Okay.
This is where they're coming in?
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah. So my question is this. This house is okay. This is okay, but why are they making the road go way out here in the wetland? Because they're not doing anything that way.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. Sorry.
Oh, we're waiting for you. Remember
He was
just
making a copy of the agenda for someone. Shouldn't take him long.
Well, my guess would be, depending on which way the house is facing, you need access for a driveway. That's probably what that is.
They have a house situated this way. It's like they have an awful lot. Wouldn't you just come in like? These are coming in this way from Wilbur.
Good evening, Azu.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Last time I saw you, we were still wearing masks and had the barricades up for this project.
Yeah, I know it. It's been crazy, but for the record, my name is Azue Toniru. I am a Massachusetts registered professional engineer and a registered professional land surveyor. The firm that my firm, ET Engineering Enterprises, Inc., of 481 Bedford Street, Bridgewater, Massachusetts, prepared the plans for Rose Place. So, just for a historical background, when this project was started, my daughter, who's now a professor at Columbia University in New York, was, believe it or not, 12 years old. Okay.
2009, right?
Yes, 2009. So at the time, we had basically these local plan right here shows you that Rose Place is bifurcated. The land is bifurcated by the town line between Abington and Whitman. So in 2009, we filed a definitive subdivision that was reviewed by the planning board as it was then constituted, as well as the Conservation Commission, and I'm not sure any of you was here at the time. But the Conservation Commission, let me flip it if you don't mind. So this is an existing condition plan that we prepared. So you can see the wetlands, it's encompassed by wetlands, and this is the upland section of the property. Right at the terminus of Wilbur Street as it currently exists, ends just about 60, 70 feet northwest of this site. And so, at the time, the planning board, as part of its rules and regulations, required that we provide a secondary means of access for the project. And then, so basically, what we had at the time, it's not what you really see here, but I'm going to explain in a minute. This whole wetland system here that goes out to Doris Drive, we propose a wetlands crossing. And the commission at the time approved it, and the planning board approved it. Because it provided that secondary means of access, they wanted a locking gate so that it's only the fire department, only on an emergency basis, can access that. So it wouldn't be serving as a primary access to the subdivision. Well, because of legal issues pertaining to the ownership of the remainder of Wilbur Street portion that was not constructed, it was tied up in court. And make a long story short, the project didn't go anywhere. All the approvals, the Conservation Commission extended the order of conditions. Then it went into, at the time, Duval Patrick was governor, and because of the economic downturn, issued what they call Permit Extension Act with the legislation. And so that gave it 4 years extension, if you will, on the side of the Conservation Commission. But the issue, the litigation before the courts with the planning board was still going on. So fast forward, we went back to the planning board after the Mrs. Glazer's estate acquired the ownership of that little piece of Wilbur Street, so that now we can construct the road into the subdivision. So because the order of conditions expired, we had to file a new notice of intent. with the Conservation Commission. And basically, we asked that the commission review the project that he wants approved and issue an order of conditions. The commissioner asked that the wetlands delineation be updated, and that was in 2020, during the growing season, and that was done. So what you see here is the wetlands as was reviewed by Concom and approved by the Concom, and the commission reissued the order of conditions that also included the wetlands crossing from Doris Drive into the subdivision. The DEP, on its own initiative, after an extensive comment and review by one of the staff members, Mr. Andrew Poyant, indicated that the DEP will not support that extensive process. And then they opined that we had not exhausted all avenues for a secondary means of access. And so they asked that we go to a MIPA review. MIPA, which is the Massachusetts Environmental Policy Act unit of the Executive Office of Energy and Environment, which used to be the Executive Office of Environment and Administration. And so in that MIPA process, it did not seem like DEP was going to relent. So we approached the planning board and we said, listen, we are sort of caught between a rock and a hard place. The commission, even though it reaffirmed the crossing, that now DEP stepped in, albeit DEP back in 2009 did not intervene with the commission's approval. But anyway, be that as it may, we went back to the planning board on an informal basis and said, listen, right now Doris Wilbur Street extends more than the dead end length that you people allow. And at least we cannot go forward on the project even though you approved it the second time and Conservation approved it the second time, that we need to look for another means of access. But we couldn't because Madison Street, which is a paper street that's over here, does not really exist. And that's extensive wetlands area that you're gonna have to cross to get into our location, which will put you right back into the concern that DEP expressed in its intervention. So we created this plan here, right here, so that within the subdivision itself, we can now create a secondary means of access, if you will, with a turnaround area here. We went to the fire department. The fire department said it was okay. And the planning board granted a waiver, therefore, to allow, if you will, this secondary means of access so that any vehicle coming through here can either go this way or go this way. So that if there's a block here, obviously you can get out here. If there's a block here, you can get out here. And so this, in the interim, if I may go back, at the time that we reapplied with Concom in 2020, that it approved, there was only a 10-foot no activity buffer that the commission required. Well, we are of the opinion that while the order of conditions that the commission issued in 2020, while the appeal of the DEP was going on, we left that appeal open to just so that we can keep the project, if you will, alive. So we filed this, the planning board approved it. They had prior to approving it, the board referred it to their consultant, PMP Associates, and they came up with 54 comments, and it's almost like you're doing a multiple choice question. You know, question number one, you have 10 parts to it. You know, I'm like, geez, what are you guys doing? Getting paid by the letter or something, by an alphabet? But it was extensive, but it was okay. So we addressed those comments, and then the planning board approved it with that waiver, allowing that secondary means of access, so that it totally eliminated the need to fill any wetlands. But also, we also respected the new local bylaw that you have, so that we made sure on on this sheet right here,
That's good.
that will be sheet number, here's my plan of profile.
3?
Number 3, sheet number
Okay, go to number
3.
3 as a,
Maybe their sheets are different than ours.
Okay, so this right here, so it shows you where the buildings are gonna be.
yep.
And you can see that you require that at least 50 feet be from a structure, and we are doing that. So I would hope that it's taking 2009 to 2023, that's 14 years. And I would hope that within that time, that now that we have come to, I believe, and I did reach out to DEP to let them know, of course, they issued the file number for this one, and so they are aware that we're back before the commission. So I will suggest to the commission that this really is quite an improvement over what you had already approved before. Obviously, the commission is changed a little bit in terms of its constitutional makeup, in terms of the composition of the membership. But at the end of the day, it's still the Abington Conservation Commission, and I would imagine that that if we had, let's assume, for example, that DEP did not appeal it on its own initiative, this order would be valid, and we could have come before you, even though it's a different makeup of the commission, and asked for an extension. And so anyway, I would hope that the commission will recognize that this represents a major improvement over what had been approved, so that it would allow us to then go back to DEP and then ask them that we want to withdraw that project that's currently pending before them. And we have our stormwater. It's a very, very robust stormwater management plan. And we have our construction period sequence and plan. So I think the plan very significantly addresses everybody's concerns. It addresses the planning board's concern about secondary means of access. It addresses this commission's concern about our impact on wetlands. So 0 wetlands alteration from almost 47,000 square feet of wetlands filling.
And you were gonna do 2-to-1, almost 2-to-1 replication.
Exactly.
The last time,
Exactly.
yeah. But it was all gonna be replicated in Whitman, right?
Right, exactly. Well, it's some wetland system.
Yeah.
So, but we have eliminated all that, and so I would hope that the commission will acknowledge that indeed it's a win-win for everybody.
Have you gotten the approval yet from Whitman? I know, because I know we voted on it back in 2023, you had,
Yeah, oh, yeah, they just, I'm not gonna say it, they rubber stamp it, but that told me every time that we've gone, well, all your work is in really Abington. Unless the Abington approves it, there's no sense in coming on, so.
do you have a copy of their order of conditions, or can you get us?
No, the old one, which is still valid, but
okay.
right, the old one, which is still valid, which DEP did not appeal. You know what I'm saying? But we've.
Oh, because all the work's in Abington. most of the work's
Right,
in
right,
Abington.
right,
Yeah, yeah,
right.
Yep.
Right, so, but we have also made them aware of this new plan here.
Okay, yeah, so it's still
Yeah.
valid because it was 2021.
Right.
Yep.
So this started back in 2009?
Originally,
Oh, wow.
yeah. Well, and I had 0 gray hair back then.
But the plan has changed significantly since.
Yeah, this is
first
the third iteration.
The third, okay.
That is correct.
You mentioned that you're not going into the wetlands, but I can see over here that you are. This little road.
Right here.
Oh, no, that is 100% for frontage purposes. If you go,
all right.
I have to show that I have about 100.
Oh, so if you go-
Okay.
Yes,
So if you go to the
yes.
drainage
Oh, that's
plan,
just to
it's
show
gonna
that it's
show
got
it,
the
sure.
frontage for the.
So
Yes.
that's not the
Gotcha.
road?
No.
Yes, we are right here.
All right, so that's no blacktop,
All construction.
no paving.
Oh,
Yeah, but I have to do that to show that I have immediate legal
Yeah.
frontage
Yep,
for planning
so
purposes.
there's no replication.
No.
okay, good. One of the things I was having a discussion with Andrew about, ANRAD or no ANRAD, and he was saying regardless, like I know in this situation, there was already an ORAD that was done, technically expired, and he said, there's 2 ways you can do it, force somebody to do a new ANRAD, or just have someone come out and just confirm the flagging. He said, it was interesting, he said that every single project, even an RDA, needs to have the flags confirmed by someone else.
Someone else being,
Like a conservation agent, a peer review, or he said, a member of the commission who feels they're qualified. Which, we've had training, but we don't have like an auger.
right,
I wouldn't want to speak for Mr. Poyant. He speaks for himself.
Yeah.
But, and I would agree with that premise and suggestion. I celebrated my 35th birthday last week, but I've been working in this field for 50 years. So that was supposed to be a joke. I guess you're supposed to say, really? But the line hasn't changed since 2021 that you issued an order of condition. The only reason why we're back here is because the EP stepped in. The EP came out, they looked at the line, the commission looked at the line. But I'm not gonna tell the commission, well, at the end of the day, I present my case, and it's your prerogative to decide which way to go. But I don't believe, if this was totally a brand-new application that the commission hasn't seen, I would definitely say yes. But you've seen that. The original line 2009, you had us redo it in 2020. Now, if DEP did not intervene and the work is going on, you're not gonna say, oh, go reflag the wetlands. You know what I'm saying? So the only reason we're back here is because we're trying to take away that DEP appeal by moving the project further away from wetlands. So, and I do think that is, if you will, putting yet another layer of, but it's your prerogative. I just don't believe that there's a need for yet another review of the line after you've already approved it. It's just that we're back here because DEP decided, and DEP was not appealing on the wetlands location because they saw it as well. Okay, we had a site visit with them on the appeal. So the only reason they appeal it is the actual impact on the wetlands, not in terms of the delineation, So that's really what I'm trying to present to you, that the family would want to eventually say, we get a project that makes perfect sense. It's caused them a lot of engineering, but I'm not complaining on that part. But that's all I gotta offer in that sense, that it really, it's almost saying, let's redo what we already did. Man, if you want me to, before we start construction, if you were to be gracious enough to approve it, we can mark out keep in mind that even back then, you approved the wetlands line, and you actually allowed the work to be 10 feet away. Well, obviously not you individually, but the commission as it was then. So overall, everything's is better, right? So that's just the way.
And refresh my memory, but when you came before us in 2021,
Yes, sir.
didn't Ken Thompson's delineation, didn't it increase the footprint of the wetlands a little bit?
Yes.
I remember I think it was a yellow line and a
You're
purple line.
right, and we left those because you wanted to see how the line
I remember
changed.
there was a confusion of which one
Right.
we were looking at
Right,
on the plan.
right. You wanted to see the difference between 2009 and 2021.
So, correct me if you just said that. On these plans, though, it says that 12/7/2019 and 12/16/2019, the wetlands were delineated. You're saying they were changed in 2020?
No, 2019 was the last time they were.
That's when we filed the application, and then the hearing kept getting continued, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
But there was the original delineation from
From
2009 was on
2009,
that, on those
yes.
plans that we approved, so he just showed the Ken's.
Previous delineation?
Yeah, he
Yes.
showed Ken's
Gotcha, okay.
more robust delineation.
I mean, this plan, to me, I mean, you did respect the 50-foot no disturb, which is very, very nice. I mean, that's a good thing. It just protects the wetland area around the homes. It also protects the future homeowners and their property, because they're not gonna have to worry about, hopefully not worry about flooding in their basements and such, because they're further away. But the flagging, just to have someone confirm it,
If it's like I said before, it's your prerogative. I don't, but
I
particularly.
mean, this looks very, very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
This looks very nice,
Right.
but,
But one of the things we've run across is we've had someone do the delineation, and then we've had someone come out and say, well, there's actually an extra 100 feet here. And had the wetland scientist who did the delineation with them, and they said, no, you're right, there's actually in one case, there was supposed to be a replication area, but it would have been a replication within the wetland itself. So, and things change over time, and that's one of the reasons why the ORAD is only good for 3 years.
Well, and you could also extend that if somebody asked for an extension 30 days prior. I mean, you can say, no, we're not gonna
Yeah.
extend it, but.
But it has to be
routinely,
before
has
it
been done.
expires.
Right, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is here is, no construction has happened here. Nothing has changed. The neighborhood is still the same. And you already approved it, and that line hasn't changed since your approval. The only reason why we're here was to address the reason why DEP appealed it. That's really why we're back here.
So one of the things that I was asking Andrew about is, he told me, even within that appeal period, that DEP requires checking the wetlands before they will grant the extension for another year. So that's what they require, which I was not aware of until I talked to him.
Well, I didn't have that conversation, you had that conversation,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't see why we would have anything different. But I've made my presentation. Like I said, it's the commission's prerogative. It's just that, we're trying to see if we can, the area that we want to work on, so instead of this dragging on, to at least start, while everything is solid on the ground, winter months to start the cutting. And typically what we also do is, at the limit of work, not only do we do the erosion control, we actually, on our own, put what we call conservation markers along the way. And so, I will not steer you guys wrong. I've been consulting for several conservation commissions myself for years. Raynham, Bridgewater, Hanson, West Bridgewater, so, but it's your choice, whatever you wanna do. I've made my case, and I don't think it's necessary, but it's all right.
Like I said, I voted to approve it with this, it's the same delineation back in 2021, so I'm fine with it the way it is.
We've done that. I think if we're gonna go, I would like to see, doesn't have to be the entire area, but just areas that are close to where a building would be, is where I would, kinda like a spot check, is where I would be most concerned about. We don't wanna be like 100 feet off and then someone's gonna have, water in their basement every single time it rains because it was actually in a wetland. So if we're looking at, lot 7, 8, 9, that sort of thing.
Those are all in Whitman.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, but this whole area, we wouldn't be,
Yeah.
I don't think we would need like a check for anything down here, but it would be, I would be concerned about this area and these two, since they're fairly close.
They're gonna have to come for a due NOI for that anyway,
It's 50
when they,
feet off.
when they build the houses, no?
No.
Yeah, because the order of conditions, it's approving the roadway and its infrastructure. Any particular lot that is going for individual developments, they gotta come back here.
Oh,
So,
this isn't for the
This
house
is, no, this
itself?
is, this is just perfect world where they wanna put the houses, but they're gonna have to come for, not for this one, but for this, even these, because part of the property's in
2 different towns.
Abington.
right,
Right.
So they're gonna
Okay.
have to come before us for a separate notice of intent for this.
right. And that will also, so the beauty of it is, by the way, have the guy, Mr. Charlie Macy, sorry I didn't introduce him, who's gonna do the work.
Yeah,
So, if you approve it, so you can, in your order of conditions, say that this order of conditions is for the roadway and infrastructure. That any work that requires approval of the commission for individual house must require notice of intent. So what that does is, at least it allows you to see his credibility in doing work. And then you have a chance to say, we're shutting you down. And if you have to come back for the individual houses, and we already see that you're doing a shoddy work, we're not gonna look favorably. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah, so it's not like you give the approval and we sing a kumbaya. This will allow, just so that the road work can get started. And then when we come back for the individual house lots that require approval, you can say, well, we were there, the cell fence or the hay bale wasn't properly towed in, you guys didn't do what you're supposed to do. And so we're gonna hold your feet to the fire, so.
That's what I mean.
but it's not gonna impact the roadway.
Yeah, and that was my
Yeah.
concern, because I was worried about these areas.
So you've gotten all the planning board approval, I know their peer review looked at the stormwater, they didn't have any
Oh,
comments.
it was crazy.
Right.
It was crazy review. It was, yeah, it was intense.
Anybody else have any questions before I open it to the public?
Not right now.
No. All right, I'll open it up to the public. Just get up to the podium, name, address.
My name is Larry Jacobs, I live on 41 Rice Street. Question I got is, everybody in that area, Doris Drive, Rice Street, all the roads over there, we have serious water problems in our basement. I'd like to know when they put in the road, what is that gonna do? Has anybody talked to any of the people in that area with water in the basement?
I believe planning does handle our stormwater,
Correct.
so.
Were you at the last, when we were
No,
here?
this is the first time I've ever heard of anything. I found it was in a post on Facebook 2 days ago.
Oh,
That was the only time I ever heard about this.
So you didn't get a letter?
No, nobody got a letter.
I got a letter.
The abutters get, if you're a direct abutter, you get a letter.
In all the other meetings that.
I don't think Rice Street directly
Yeah.
abuts
Yeah,
this,
I
so.
think you have to be within 300 feet or something
We're
like.
on Isabel.
Oh, you're on
Yes,
Isabel.
yeah.
Doris
You're
is,
close.
and Allen, and all of those houses are flooded.
Because
All
I,
the way over to the very
ma'am,
end
you're gonna have to get up to
Isabel.
the podium to speak if you wanna
Oh,
speak.
sorry.
But when we voted on this back in 2021, a resident, I think from Isabel, came up. They had the same comment, was the water comes down, I don't know if it was Isabel, whatever street it is over there, and it just basically, there's catch basins at the end of the street. Water hits the catch basins, and right away in a heavy rain, they overflow the catch basins, they're washing out people's grass. That's more of a issue with the DPW's probably not maintaining the catch basins over there, and the pipes might need to be cleaned.
But there's wetlands right beyond, right at the end of Doris Drive, it's all wetlands. What's gonna happen when they fill that in?
They're not filling any wetlands in.
Are they gonna put a road there?
The road is going on Wilbur Street.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you got it off.
I'm sorry, I thought
They-
it
Yeah,
was going on
There
Doris
used to
Drive.
be, back in 2021, they were gonna have a road that came out to Isabel, that was the fire access road.
Right.
And they were gonna basically go right through the wetlands over there. That's all eliminated. Now, the only access to this is gonna be through Wilbur Street.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
letters
just-
that we got,
You just gotta get up to the podium.
Okay.
Yeah.
the letters that we got was from the old one, that the road was going in Doris Drive.
Oh.
See, that's the letter, and we got two of them.
Oh, you
It actually
didn't get,
says it in the Facebook.
And it
post,
said,
the
well, and I
meeting.
guess it was
said
posted
the
in a
meeting
paper or
was tonight.
something. And if you wanna see it, it's
Well,
sure,
it
it's
says
the old one.
off, no, it's not the other one, it says off of Doris Drive, that's the
And
way,
that,
the answer.
so it
Because the
wasn't, up-
property still abuts Doris
Doris
Drive.
Drive.
right, but it wasn't updated to say that Wilbur Street would be the access.
it's the old one.
Oh, I see.
And I think that's why we were all kinda like a little
Yeah,
upset,
Oh, yeah.
going back to the old one.
Silk grading location
Would it be
off Doris
possible for you
Drive.
to turn that plan so the people in the
Can
audience
see it?
can see
Yes.
what the
Yes.
changes are?
So but anyway, so
So that's why they're all.
because like I said, 2 years,
No.
No, like actually turn the,
Yeah, turn the whole.
turn it so the audience can see.
So they can see the new layout. God bless you.
So I got a question for you though. So there's been no change to the water since we've discussed this project 3 years ago over there with the catch basins and probably the drainage structures that are in the
No,
ground.
no, it's worse if anything.
Well, if they haven't been maintained by the town, then if the town owns them, which more than likely they do if it's a public way.
Thank you.
I mean,
That's-
even on Rice
Thank
Street,
you.
there's no
Can we keep
catch
that?
basins on Rice Street, and everybody's getting water in their basements.
Well, because everything pitches down towards,
Yeah. And my question was back to if they're gonna start filling in wetlands, what's that gonna do for
yeah, but
us?
they're not filling any
It's
wetlands.
not
in.
going anywhere near there.
The way
Okay,
this-
is it I don't even know, is it Abington or is it Whitman? or-
It's both, so
It's a little of both.
Azu, correct me if I'm wrong, but just the way your stormwater's set up,
Yeah.
all the water is basically going to Whitman, right? All the
Yes.
all the runoff.
Yes, and actually, it's counterintuitive, but the project will actually improve drainage off of Wilbur. Because now it will actually be collected, instead of just coming down the road, bringing all the dirt, and then just sitting there. That all will be taken care of.
But yeah, the stuff over on Rice, that's more, I think, should be going towards the DPW. There's catch basins that aren't taking water, and
Okay.
they're filling up right
I mean,
right
I've
away.
been there 36 years, nothing's ever changed over there. It's
Have
been,
not come through like every couple of years and scooped out all,
oh yeah, they do that, yeah.
and, okay,
It doesn't help. It doesn't
Okay.
do anything.
There's
No,
no place for the water to go,
okay.
except in basements.
And that's probably the end of the line for the collection too.
Yeah,
It is,
Oh,
it is,
definitely.
yeah.
And they did work, right? They paved it and put in new berms, and what they did kind of hurt. So it actually eroded Isabel Street really bad. There's huge trees that are now compromised and could fall on my house. So I'm very concerned about that water flow. So they did just finish it. But that water's going somewhere.
They're putting berms up everywhere
Yeah,
right
like
now,
it's-
trying to water.
Right, and now they're going into people's yards and houses, like, we never had water in our.
Can you just
basement.
identify yourself at the
I'm sorry?
podium? That's okay.
I'm Anne Marie Bruiser from 121 Isabel Street. So I'm like at the very end, in the middle, where all the water comes down from each street.
Right.
It comes down Isabel.
Isabel's at the very last road.
Right,
that
it's the
abuts-
one that,
right.
like, there's.
Yep.
The one's
green
perpendicular
and
to every other one, right?
Right, right.
It runs parallel to Green Street, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You got Green Street.
Connects
and
all those
Isabel.
streets down that side.
So when they paved the road a few, what was it, 3 years ago, they didn't berm anywhere. So all this water just sat in people's yards.
Path
and
of least
flooded. They
resistance.
had nowhere to go. So some of us noticed that, there's 2 feet of no dirt now for these huge trees. Like, what are they gonna do? So they came and they fixed that area. But now the water is going so fast to the end of the street, it's crazy. Like, if you go out in a storm, you're gonna get wet up to your ankles. And now that's ending up in their homes, and we've never seen it, and we're seeing it now. So I'm at 121,
75.
you're 75, so we're
But I'm
adding
at the
the
end.
problem. So I guess our concern is, when you start digging up these areas, where is this newfound water gonna go?
And on his new plan, though, there's going to be no construction behind Isabel.
So basically, you're saying that all of this now is not gonna.
That's
even
his
be
new
our
plan,
concern.
and he can show you where they'll come in.
So before, what was approved before, was we were gonna come all the way from here.
Yep.
That's all that we needed. So all the work is over here. This is a well done, right here.
Right here.
This one would be easier. Hopefully at the board, you can put it right up on Google.
I know, I wish we did.
Yeah, so this
That's the
comes
issue
down,
tonight.
this is over here.
This is over here, extension. And then we
A
got
whole
this
bunch of
over
issues with
here,
the board.
this over
They talked to
here.
Kevin,
We're
yeah.
not going down anymore.
Who's Doris?
That is way
Doris is
in,
gonna
Huh?
way over
That
here.
be over
Oh, that's
here.
what I mean.
Oh, okay.
So basically, I think, we
Discontinued.
need to get a hold of DPW to figure out what they're gonna do
This is
with it.
all-
We've been there for
Right, which is the same circle that.
We can white water raft from my yard.
I mean,
7 times this summer.
what's also affected is up on Green Street, at the beginning of Green Street, like all those early houses. The
Yeah.
first 1 or 2 houses, sun pumps 24/7.
Oh, yeah,
So you
24/7.
all do
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I'm just afraid you start taking these areas away where there's no place for this water to go already. Well, how is this really going to affect that water flow?
I guess what he's referred to is that he's had to do stormwater review through the planning board, and they have had it peer reviewed with PMP. So if there was any deficiencies in what they submitted, the water that's created from this neighborhood has to be collected
Right.
and dispersed off, away from your homes. So it's going to be going more towards Whitman, from what I understand. Is that not
And
correct? Is
also-
it-
And also, just a point of information.
You might want to turn the board so they can see
Yeah,
it.
I just want to.
Okay.
Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go.
There we
That
go.
is actually better. Okay. If you look at over here, we have water coming down the road, we have all catch basins, we have a drainage basin here, a drainage basin here, and a drainage basin here, okay? And then each of these individual buildings will also have their own roof drainage.
And that's away from Isabel. It's all-
100%.
It's all
Yeah,
on the
Yeah,
other side.
yeah, 100%.
And you're not touching any of it.
No, we're not touching a single one. We got at least 35 feet from the wetlands. And then the houses have to be at least 50 feet from the wetlands. And that's what we were talking about a minute ago, about when we come back, we still have to file for the individual houses. So that'll give you a second crack at what we're doing. If, at least when we're doing the road, you can say, okay, geez, these guys are respecting the wetlands, or they're not paying attention. Gives you opportunity to shut it down, and then if we come to individual house notice of intent, you can say, we didn't really quite like what you've already done. So
So in theory, from what the planning board has put in place for the water reclamation, is that's gonna handle, and hopefully is gonna improve that area, but that's not for our commission to.
Exactly.
To
So
handle.
It's kind of given us a definitive line now, where
Right.
to go.
So now, I mean, it seems like your issues are all the other roads like Martin, Allen, Doris, Linda, they're all channeled now and they're ending up in your property based
Well, they're
on what the
more-
blacktop, because of the blacktop and the berming that they did?
That's just recent. These
Okay.
people
Yeah,
here
yeah,
have
yeah.
had it for 35 years.
I don't know where they all live, are they all in Isabel?
Isabel and Rice, all of these little streets, so.
Yeah.
If we do one thing to one section of our property or the land, it affects so many homes because it just flows. So now you're gonna put in this big thing, and I really hope you're right, that it's gonna help the water flow.
Or it won't.
Well, my question is, if it doesn't help the water flow, who's gonna pay
Yeah,
to fix it?
Well, so let's be very careful here. What we've done by regulation, by Massachusetts Building Code, by Planning Board, and the Wetlands Protection Act, is that we cannot exacerbate any existing problem. So in other words, whether we do this project or not, whatever is happening on Isabel or Darvish will continue to happen if the DPW doesn't take care of it. What we must not do, and that is verifiable, because the planning board had an independent person to review it, and he paid him another 10 grand. With all the money he's already paid me, and I don't mind the one that he paid me. So, okay, so at the end of the day, what we've done here is make sure that we don't add one iota of more water into the wetlands and what is happening. And actually, I hate to admit to it, but I would say that the fact that DEP stepped in and then forced a revaluation of the project so that we're not crossing that wetlands is a good thing.
So basically, we gotta make noise in another area.
So basically, this project won't make it any
It
worse,
isn't
but it's
gonna
not
make
gonna
it
solve our
worse.
existing
Not-
problem.
not
But
supposed to.
you have a fabulous crowd here that at the DPW meeting, you might be able to make enough noise to get them to address the problem since it's been so long.
Because
We
even
can't really
dealing
debate
with
this
them
this
is
too much
hard.
because this is completely outside of our.
Who you been dealing with?
Well, just the guy who shows up to do the work, and
Can I say something else?
you know, like, it took us 6 months to get some of it, sorry.
Do you
My
want
name's
to just,
Valerie, I'm at, you know,
you just want to
75.
identify yourself for people who might watch this at home, that's all.
I didn't think it was gonna film.
Oh, it's always.
We're always
filming. We're always filming.
Yeah, right. My thing of it is, okay, we're gonna have these wetlands.
Your
that
name and
behind-
address, though, just
Oh,
one.
75 Isabel,
Okay, your name?
Valerie Pitt.
Thank you.
All the wetlands behind Isabel,
Not touched.
Huh?
They're not being touched.
I know,
Okay.
but who's going to be taking care of them?
Nature.
Because right now,
Yeah,
well,
but-
nature right now, if you go in there, there's a lot of dead wood, there's a lot of dead vegetation, and I would think that maybe if we kind of cleaned up some of the fallen trees and the dead wood, it might help some of the drainage. Because I know there's, well, under my property, because from the, there's a stream thing, and then they have I don't know, some kind of pipe, and it comes out, but, you know, and it goes into the stream, you know. But right now, I mean, we've gone through all summer, I mean, granted, we've had a lot of water, but you still go out there, and you're gonna go up to your knees in mud. I mean, it's
Well,
wet
if
out
there
there.
is a pipe out there, then it was obviously placed there. And if it was placed by the town, then I would think that somebody would need to
Well, no,
maintain or
it's-
clean that,
well,
which is
Yeah,
adding to the difficulty of having water.
they can't bring any machine
Not a
guns to
chance.
wetlands,
I think what we're trying to say is the town is not doing anything about it.
because they
And
can't.
if we go with new construction, it could very well get worse.
Yeah.
And it's not our fault. Should they go forward?
Developer. We don't have topography on this entire site, but if you look at some of the contour lines up at number 76 at Wilbur, it's 136. The bottom of this basin is 124. So I really don't know how we would get water to flow uphill
That was my
13
next
feet.
thing, because
Right.
it is that
Yeah.
hill.
So it's all, like I said, it's all going,
If anything were helping it, if I could figure that out, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
I'll operate here.
Well, we
That's
do
what I was
know
saying.
water flows in one direction and that's downhill, so.
And that's topography doesn't lie.
Bob Hatch, 76 Wilbur Street. Hi. We have been dealing with him for, as he said, many years.
2009.
2009. My biggest fear of this project is the first time that this all started, when it was first launched and they flagged it. The Conservation Committee had come down, they actually took a look. We had a huge puddle down in the far corner of the yard. Or my backyard backs up to Isabel. So basically, plus I have the town sewer line running along the side of my property, going through the entire backyard of my property. And basically, when the biggest issue is, and it's not his project that was causing, it is the town's project, as far as all the water coming down Isabel. Many years ago, Glen LaPointe came in, put in extra catch basins. The water comes down rushing, and I'm not exaggerating. I brought pictures the last time, I don't remember you being on the board. I believe it was Mr. Donovan or somebody that was on the board.
I got on in 2020, so.
So I'm not 100% sure.
Yep.
I brought pictures up, Val's husband was up, and we were told it was the town's problem. My wife and I have gone down and cleaned out the catch basin. Catch basin is level with my basement floor. We used to get, anytime we had a half inch of rain, I'd be flooded. I had 3 pumps going, constantly. I ended up French draining my cellar. When surge came through, surge helped. Now the problem is, the water follows the sewer pipe that runs through my backyard, out front, which they're gonna be going over. It is constantly wet. If you step on it, it's like a sponge, and it can be in the middle of the summer. So you've still got water coming underground that is sitting there. So what happens is, if we have a torrential rain, the water comes down, and I'm not exaggerating, you can whitewater raft through my backyard for probably a good hour, hour and a half, if we have a torrential rain, because the water just comes down. It runs through, goes over my fence, we put rocks, whatever, the water goes out towards the stream next to Val's culvert. Many years ago, we asked the town to come down and clean out, because the catch basin is level, like I said. It has nowhere to go. They clean out the catch basin, but they don't, we were told it was wetlands. We can't go out there. We went out with shovels and rakes, pulled all the dirt and crap out. It helps, but that was 30-some odd
So
years ago.
you know, so you actually go out to where the pipe, the outfall where the pipe comes out of the catch basin, and you clean it by
Yes.
yourself?
Yes.
So if they're not getting a response, have you taken this to the Board of Selectmen? Any of you written a letter or signed a letter together saying, this is what we're dealing with and we're not getting any relief?
Or the town manager, he could.
Because
And on top of that, now going back to when surge first came through, we had a torrential rain, the water sat on Isabel Street, and it was probably a good foot and a half deep. Went all the way through our yards, the water sat out there. They ended up, this goes back to when Dickie Burns was in charge of DPW.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
And surge had just come in there. I'm not 100% sure of the gentleman's name that was in charge of the sewer department at that time.
I remember him.
They came down, in order to get rid of the water, they opened up the surge catch basin to get it to flow the heck out of there, because it was just sitting there. So my concern now is, these houses are gonna be hooked up to the surge line. So is that gonna bring more water down into my property? And I brought this issue up at the last,
Yeah.
back in 2000, whenever the
Thank you.
19, and it went nowhere.
Well, this is gonna be south of your property, and in theory, by the topography, it's going to drain towards Whitman.
I understand that, but each house is gonna be hooked up, the sewer line comes out of Wilbur Street. They're gonna be connecting to the sewer.
But the sewer is different than the storm water that you're referring to.
But, no, I know he's worried about groundwater too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, so what I'm saying is, the huge puddle that was there, to get back to the original, when the Conservation Commission had come down, they saw that, so they moved the actual line of where the wetlands were up, I wanna say probably 50 feet, maybe, and there used to be a marker there. But then when it was redone after the DEP, actually, you had the original map that showed, and I think you made mention of it, more land. So I don't know whether you wanna
Recharge area.
move that back up again. It doesn't happen all the time. It's when we have, and I'm talking, the water will sit there by the sewer catch basin or manhole for probably 2 to 5, depending on how wet it is.
Yep.
And it usually will happen if we have a huge storm and the water is flowing over on 123, heading into Brockton where the high tension line.
Yep.
That's when the problem arises.
Just for full point of information, if you look at our, that bleeding sheet right here, we actually, put in a new set of catch basins right where you're talking about. And that water is gonna get packed down here. So you see those two? So that's what I'm saying, that what we're doing actually is putting through, it's counterintuitive, but what happens is the area is kind of,
My only concern is with, all right, where the street's here.
no, Wilbur Street is right here.
Okay, Wilbur Street is here. Okay,
Yeah, and this is your property.
here's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right over where the stone wall is now.
Yeah.
That's my property. Where the T, where they left the T, coming from the catch
Sure,
basin.
hold this up here. Right, but if you,
Okay, so
Well,
now,
that's how
where
the
is
engineer.
the sewer line?
Works for
Gonna
me.
go to each house, it's gonna connect to the main trunk line, correct?
right, and the sewer is draining that way though, the sewer. And over here.
It looks like this house has their own recharge area.
So pick up the surface
I'm not
water.
talking catch basin,
Right,
I'm talking sewage.
right, but the sewer doesn't carry the storm water.
It runs along
It runs along, it. That's what I'm saying right now. That's my
I was trying to
concern.
say that the stone, sometimes the stone around that is the
Right.
sewer line can carry water. I
Yeah.
understand that.
So given the topography going down, when they do lay that down, it's gonna be covered in its material and it's gonna naturally flow in that
So
direction.
sometimes if we see an issue, we can put a curtain drain in.
And
or
this is what I was trying to point out to Mr. Hack, okay?
Right.
Okay, if you look over here,
Yep.
We
This-
have only one person talking at a time,
Through here,
just for the audience.
they get down about 6, 7 feet, they hit water. They had put, and then they came down.
You're talking about when they did through the easement, yes, sir.
And then going through my entire backyard, they had to put in the metal thing to work on. They didn't have to on Coolidge.
And I know it's not in the purview of this committee, but willing to obviously sit with them where we don't have, I'm not the sole person that can make a decision on this property, but I have influence, where we're not going to be doing the wetland crossing. If there's anything, it can drain that way. If there's anything of butters, that maybe we could sit with a selectman. I can't guarantee anything, but I'd be open to, if I could do anything to help.
Yeah, I mean, I would-
guarantee anything, but I'm willing to listen to see if there's anything I could.
I wouldn't go, I'd go to the DPW first and just,
Then if you don't get an answer, go to the
Yeah,
select.
if-
Right.
Again, we covered everything. I think a lot of it's going, I can't guarantee you if it's
I'm
in
not-
previous issues, but.
yeah,
Well,
but
I
yeah,
understand,
before you go to the selectmen or town manager, reach out to John Stone and
Sure,
if you don't get any response from him, then,
sure. I'm aware of the issues and I'm sympathetic to the
Yep.
neighbors. I get it. I've had several meetings with them. I'm trying to address things and make things better.
but like I said, we came here back in March 2021. The same concerns about Isabel,
Sure.
the water, the catch basin's not working properly, and, you know, we're still getting the
There's 5
same.
of them there in the street, and they don't
Yep,
carry all
they're
the
not-
water, 'cause
yeah,
it's
the-
going downhill.
They're also not going into a basin either.
Right,
So basically, you're putting in flows with the basement.
Yeah, you have nothing to collect to relatively, you have something
Just
to add.
sitting.
That's what I was saying earlier, that it's kind of intuitive because we're proposing a project and then everyone says, oh, well, it's gonna, you're actually gonna help with
Right.
drainage.
We can't guarantee that we can fix a pre-existing issue, but we can say that we're definitely not making it
Worse.
anything better by the topography.
To that part of
Sure.
Wilbur and that end of the
Sure.
street.
And
On
it
the other
seems,
end, we gotta.
but it seems like the topography comes this way. I don't have enough topography to see off the site, was not required to do it.
Right.
But I can see that everything that we've taken shots on, that our basin is significantly lower down gradient than what the areas that you're of concern at this point.
And we all came in here thinking you were still putting the road in.
I know.
Yeah.
So our whole thought.
I'm glad that
You
at
haven't
least
done
is a
it.
relief, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's not going
We
to,
For
thought,
me personally, but it's not gonna help them at all.
right.
No, it will help.
It's-
Right, but the catch basin that they're,
it's 14 foot lower than their yard, the basin.
So as long as it's maintained, it should help exponentially.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's new, that's a new piece
Yes, ma'am.
That's
that's
gonna be-
going in,
Yes, ma'am.
so in theory, it's gonna actually catch the water.
If you'd like, I could show you the number on the
Yeah,
plan.
let's see that.
There you go. That
See
works.
these numbers right here? These are 1 foot contour lines. So this is the Hatches house. See how it says 136, 135, 134, 30. So you can see that everything's moving down this way. And you see right here, it says bottom of the basin, 124.01. So you have a difference of 136 right here to here, which is roughly 12 feet. I think I might have said 13, 14, so it's off by a foot. But you can kind of see, there's 137 here, so if you took it from there to there, it is 13. In all these lines, you can see 127, 126, 125. So you can actually follow everything coming this way. On the high side here, of 129, 120, so sheet flow comes this way, also comes this way. So hopefully that's clear.
The catch bases, they're actually gonna pick up water.
Well, can I identify myself again? or-
sure.
No, sure.
Larry Jacobs, 41 Rice Street. I'm just asking the committee, before you grant permission to put another subdevelopment problem area, why can't the city, the town, correct the problem first before they grant permission to put some else in where we already have a problem? I understand it's supposed to help. Is it gonna help? If it doesn't help, who's gonna pay for it then?
People are losing their homes.
Yeah, it's bad.
Unfortunately, that's
I'm
not
telling you,
gonna
it's
be
bad.
fixed by us. That's
Yeah, it's
other,
not,
that's
but
other
we're
places,
afraid that
other
you're gonna
boards.
stop playing with the.
No, our job is
I
to
mean-
make
I
sure
mean,
that
if
what they're gonna
anything-
put in won't make it any worse and that they follow all of the current rules that we require.
And they've gone through-
The other planning processes, like Paul is saying, that they've been through, that's where the strength in numbers might have been able to.
Yeah,
impact.
right.
But right now, like, we just can work with what has already been approved
Right.
and make sure that it doesn't make that development unacceptable.
I mean, you have come a long way.
I mean, I certainly
From the
sympathize,
first
I
time
have
we
a
were
detention
sitting
pond in my
here.
yard, but it's just, we can't do really much more than what.
And,
We-
but
is
he's
John
been,
Stone
you guys have
the guy
been
we
through all
need?
the other boards before you, we're the last
Yeah.
board you're coming to, right? Azu? So you've been through all the other boards, planning board, and they went through they went,
And they went through these.
if they thought there were issues
Stormwater-
with the stormwater that were gonna impact
Exactly.
the residents outside, you know, is it the abutters, they would have had comments and made them change something. So it's been vetted quite a bit.
By several
But you might
different
also get
boards.
some results if you speak with the DPW supervisor and talk with John Stone. Formally speak with the Board of Selectmen or the city manager.
I was just gonna give you-
I would, I mean-
For at least the town manager and the Board of
I don't
Selectmen,
know.
yes.
But like I said, I
That would be the
wouldn't,
steps you want to take.
I wouldn't go to the selectmen or
Scott
town,
is the
town
town
manager
manager.
until,
Until I've already gone to John Stone,
Yeah.
go through the
go through
process.
the, yeah, exactly. And I mean, you're getting into the cold months now, so if you have water standing there at the end of Isabel and you get freezing temperatures, you got puddles that freeze, that's a big time safety issue.
Mm-hmm. I'll make a wisecrack, I already have all the sand from up the street, so.
Hey, you know what?
Oh, Jimmy, I'm out there with the blower,
Yeah.
I'm getting too old for this.
I have it at my house when they paved Peregrine Road 5 years ago.
I mean, okay, so I have all this, it just, it comes down, well, somebody's front yard's coming on by. Yeah.
All right,
Already clean.
anybody else from the public have anything to add?
Yes, thank you.
All right, bring it back to the board. Somebody want to make a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Anybody else have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I would like to have the flagging checked in a couple of areas. That's only because of the recommendation that Lynn said she had spoken to.
I'm fine with the flagging the way they are. When they do the notice of intents for the properties, I'd say we ask for them then. We can even put that into other conditions.
Okay.
They're gonna have
Be
to
more realistic with the weather too.
Yeah.
This is just the road, right?
This is just the road and
This
the
is just
drainage.
the road and drainage. So where is,
Each house has its own retention area. I saw that, the recharge, see?
so the road is,
And I don't have it in front of me. That's okay.
Then, like I said,
okay.
this
So
is
the-
being cut short right here.
That was just to show the 100-foot frontage for that
Yeah.
property, right?
so
It's
the,
not gonna be blacktop, it's just 100-foot.
yeah.
That's-
So essentially the road, except for this one spot, is 100 feet outside. And
Okay.
it's just this one little place where it's
Mhm.
50.
Yep.
So in that,
Like I said, when we.
but it's the homes that where they're gonna put the homes and stuff, that's where we need to, when they
Okay.
come to us, we need to be
Again, I mean,
laser focused on.
right, all right, so
Yeah.
where they are put right now is just to get an idea, okay? So, yeah, I agree,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay,
I misunderstood too.
I misunderstood.
But now,
Because when I
now
saw the
understand
houses
what they're
on there, I
talking
said,
about.
is this where the houses are going?
The project's been going along that long.
Looking at the plan prepared on my way home.
Okay, I feel better now.
It's gonna be like another one that's gonna be coming up before us in our next meeting.
But on that, page 8, where the drainage and everything and all the elevations are and everything, each home looks like it has its own recharge
Yes.
area?
Yes, that's a part of our stormwater design.
Yeah. Except for that
Yeah.
top house.
What top house?
The one,
Doesn't that happen right there?
Yeah, it is.
does it? Okay, I just,
North of it.
I couldn't remember.
They're nice and colorful. Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions? We'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. What are we doing? For the notice of intent?
Huh?
I'll make a motion for, to approve the notice of intent for SE 084-507 Rose Place.
Any further discussion? There's a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Alright.
Unanimous.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
But for the residents of Isabel that are still here, I mean,
Good, Gene.
for the residents that are here for Isabel, your issue, I gave you a list of the steps that I would go through first. And if you could collectively
Yeah, I was
join
thinking that.
together in some sort of correspondence.
I mean, the whole thing is, in my point of view, is you have some you don't have existing basins to collect your land. If they do what they're supposed to do, it should actually suck it up.
All right, next up is complaint course of action update Hanson Tree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Hanson Tree, they're gonna, I spoke to
But I was in Rome, 5-6 years ago.
Hancock Associates, they're the third wetland scientist that Hanson Tree's gotten in touch with. They're supposed to be going out there on Thursday
Thank you.
to do the delineation over there.
So they've been through 3 wetland scientists and only,
Once again, I appreciate your time.
you're welcome.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Hanson Tree has gone through 3 wetland scientists?
Yeah, well, they're on their third. And he's gonna be going out there on Thursday.
Thursday,
I know it's a day past our
the 16th.
deadline, but the weather is,
The weather is holding, but
yeah.
It really needs to just get done.
So they'll be back on the 25th, or they'll have an update on the 25th.
28th, 25th?
Yeah, no, you're right, 28th. 28th.
I was gonna say,
Blah, 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 blah. You guys did 0 Hancock. All right, so certificate of compliance located at 1400 Bedford Street. I'm gonna recuse myself for this one. Here's the paperwork on it, Lynn.
Oh, okay. So what was this for?
Sorrel.
Sorrel.
oh, the
Do we have an
parking
as-built
spaces.
for it? Yes. I assume this is the as-built?
I'm not looking at it.
Okay. I don't know, I just got this.
We have the original
It
compared.
looks like this is existing conditions plan. I think we need the as-built for this. Does it say as-built anywhere? It was signed December 7th, 2022, so I would say maybe a no.
What's for certificate of compliance, don't we normally compare it to what was submitted as the accepted plan versus what the as-built is to ensure that it's one and the same?
Yeah.
And if there are any small changes, I'm sure there should have been notification on them?
Yeah, this is a letter
Okay,
from Sean Hardy.
okay.
Says, this firm was not present during the construction phase, so our review is based on an as-built survey dated December 7th, 2022. So I guess it's the as-built.
Do we have access to the accepted plan? Is that available?
Additionally, this firm conducted a site walk with 2 members of the commission on May 19th, 2023
Okay.
to review the as-built and site
Okay.
conditions.
Okay.
Who was on the site walk?
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me, wasn't me.
I remember doing a sidewalk when Tim was here.
At
Briefly.
Sorrel's?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's so long ago, I forget now what
Okay.
even took place. It's a couple months ago.
All right.
I can't recall anything. I forget.
They had,
Was
that's a
it,
good question.
was it for the parking
It was
spaces?
for the parking, yeah. This was the. It'd be kind of nice to see what the plan was, so we can say if it's substantially. There's a picture. 2001 aerial photography, 2013 aerial.
I think it was when they lost parking due to the Route 18 construction.
Widening, and they added more to the, yeah.
I think that's what it was about,
I
if
think
I
you're
remember.
right.
This is 2013, 2014, so I don't.
I think that's what it was for. They lost spaces, I think.
Right. They
if I remember.
widening. So they had to, what ended up happening?
That they just took space away from what I.
been seal coated.
No, it looks like. what's
But
up-
that's
what's up
2013, and this is 2001.
Those would be trees.
here? No, I know, but I'm saying,
I think if I remember, they did something up in this area.
Yeah, we have questions about the certificate of compliance for, huh?
It's supposed to be.
Meeting done? No, she was wondering if the meeting's done.
no,
No.
he just
No.
recused himself. We're just trying to do this.
Yeah.
Do we have the original accepted plan for this change?
For Sorrells,
For Sorrel's?
1400 Bedford.
084510. I mean, we're looking at something we don't even know what we're looking
Yeah,
at. so.
I mean, it looks very similar to what it was.
It does.
But that says 2013, 2014,
Right.
and that's 2001,
Yeah.
so I
Right.
don't know why they,
I don't know.
unless they added more parking there, but it's hard to tell from
Right.
the shape
If
of the
anything, it just
trees.
looks like the trees have been trimmed, or it's just a.
Yeah.
It was so long ago that I forget.
It's okay. Can't remember everything. You
Yeah.
had a lot on your mind, yeah.
14 years will just make that change alone, so.
Yep.
Well, yeah, so
Right, exactly, yeah.
there's that.
Oh, yeah.
But that I won't talk about.
Nope.
Yeah. that's
Google
right.
Earth. Oh, yeah, look.
Yeah,
What is that?
Changes.
that I believe is a state.
Oh,
They've got all kinds of stuff stored up there.
really? Wow. 510.
So is this here for review or is this here because of a complaint?
No, this is a certificate of compliance.
It's to sign
So
off
the
on
question is, what did they do? Okay, so to meet the required parking count, the lot was repaved. During the repaving process, an area of new pavement was installed at the northern limit of the existing parking area.
So that would be down here.
No,
that
that would
north?
be up here, that would be north.
Oh, I
That's
thought
what I
that
was saying,
south.
I forget what they did up
Yeah.
there.
Additional peer review
Oh,
from
yeah,
the
you're
planning
right.
noted a
That's
new area of reprocessed gravel was installed behind the building. We've attached aerial photos from Mass Mapper 2001 to 2013 that indicate that area was previously cleared, but it's difficult to determine what the surface treatment
Yes.
was.
It was previously cleared and it looks
Yeah.
like there's been, obviously the parking lot's been repaved as it's.
I think everything looked fine when me and Tim went out there.
Okay.
Do we have the COC form itself? Is it signed on the back by the engineer?
This is the Sean Hardy.
Okay.
So he said it's substantially in compliance with the approved plans and order of conditions, but I don't know what those are.
What the actual orders
What
were.
was the plan that was approved?
I think she went to go look.
Yeah, she got the file.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Those together.
Here it is, Lenny. Oh, do you have that nasty cold that everybody else has? Oh, sorry. Ragweed has been really bad.
Oh, this was nice.
Might as well make some room.
That's right. Okay.
That'll be the order of conditions.
There's the NOI, oh. 17, 6/14, 17. So is that a photocopy? It's a photocopy. This is a photocopy. They were supposed to file an RDA first.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then what do we want to do on that?
Well, since they need to file an RDA,
We just continue it?
Yep.
and nobody hears from Sorrel, so
We'll continue it.
Sir, you're not here for Representative Sorrell?
No.
Okay,
we know who he's.
okay,
We
sorry.
met him the other day at the sidewalk.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to continue, SE 084557, right?
All in
Second,
favor?
just one point of discussion. Had they been notified that they need to submit an RDA for this?
I don't think so.
Can we send notification to them so that we're not wasting our time with another hearing?
That'd be nice.
Yes.
Okay. Is that okay for a friendly amendment to your motion?
Yes, no problem. So notify them that they have to provide an
Have
RDA.
Tony send it out.
Have
Yeah.
Tony, yep.
Contact them.
For an RDA.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, all right, okay, all right.
And
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. This is a problem with not knowing the history.
We can hold on to that, right? And we'll give Tony this back to file.
All right, so next up is request for certificate of compliance for SE 084-557. I just had to look at this one, so it's for one of the
When?
National Grid easement.
I gave the wrong number for that last one.
Oh, should we redo that vote?
Oh, we can just amend it, can't we?
No, let's just
You guys
redo it.
do whatever you wanna
Okay,
do.
and this way we'll have it absolutely correct.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
510.
All right.
So I'll make a motion to, continue, SE 084-510,
Tony will contact.
with, for the RDA, Tony will contact them to let them know that they have to do one.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay,
All right, National Grid.
thank you. For Alex's time.
Yeah, so this is
long.
for one of their transmission line projects. I haven't had a chance to look through it to see if they followed the order of conditions for it, so
Okay,
if you guys don't have a problem with it, we can continue it to the next meeting.
let's continue.
Yeah,
So moved.
All right, so I'm gonna make a motion.
I'll make a motion to
Is there a
continue.
second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You didn't want the SEO number?
Can we do it again? Next up, building permits. I did not have to sign any. Lynn, did you?
No.
All right, site visits. Now, yeah, sorry to make you wait all night. So, last Friday, right? Is it Friday?
Yes.
No.
No, it was,
No, I delivered up, no.
No, it was,
it was, I don't,
my days are screwed up working
Tuesday?
nights.
I think it was
It was
Tuesday.
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 Thank you,
I flew, yeah.
thank
Tuesday, I
you.
know it was 12 o'clock.
I'm trying to remember my big
it's okay.
chalkboard calendar that I'd written.
So there was a complaint at 16 Linwood Street about potential filling of wetlands in the buffer zone. Jane dropped off a letter, hand-delivered a letter. Then we went out there on last Tuesday, did a site walk. So just name, address.
Board member, my name is Wallace Langang. I'm representing Jessica De Jesus and her husband at 16 Linwood Street in Abington. He received a letter, of course they freak out because they don't know what they're doing, of course, And the first thing I did is they contact me because I'm the insurance agency, plus I do a lot of personal finances for the family. So, and I do deal with similar situation this, but not this deep. So the letter that they received, which was well detailed and was massive actually, it kind of freaked them out. And actually even me that fill out a lot of the paperwork, I was a little taken back by it, but I fill all the information. I did a site meeting. Antonia, when I called her, by the way, just so I don't have on record, she's very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay, I know sometimes people don't stop to say this, but she was extremely helpful. She said, do not worry about it, just follow the instructions. If you have any question, please let me know. She walked me right to the site. So, and actually, for some reason, in the letter, actually, it has the meeting, but it doesn't have the address. So I was Googling to find out what it was, and I emailed her. She actually just got back to me. She said, I'm out of town, and she gave me the address. So this is very helpful. I want to thank you guys for meeting me the other day. So as you guys can see, whatever you guys ask us to do, we agreed to do some shrubs, some blueberry trees there. But we can't do it this year because of the conditions of the weather. So, but he's definitely going to comply with that by spring of next year. I'll be following up with that.
We'll get you guys a list of.
I did not receive that. So.
Yeah,
I
no.
hadn't gotten
Oh,
to
okay,
yet.
it's okay.
Sorry.
Take your time.
Yeah.
We're having till spring, so.
And
Yeah,
the lawn,
yeah.
and the lawn debris and leaves and stuff were pulled out of the wetlands too.
Not the leaves. I haven't checked with them yet.
It's just the stuff that would have been come off the lawn and was put in there, because they probably
The
figured they
leaves
would.
you're talking about from landscaping?
Yeah, when the landscape, well, you could see where it was nicely mowed and everything, and then you could just see
Yeah.
some debris in there, and I'm like, that was my only concern, because you
Yes.
really can't blow leaves and stuff
I
off
told
lawns
him
into.
not to do it, so.
I know, I felt so bad for them, because, I mean,
He just lost his mom today.
oh, I'm so sorry to
Yeah,
hear that.
So, and it's like, I'm trying to deal with that. I'm
Yeah,
trying to help them.
I mean, it was very, very nice, and they were very nice people.
Yeah. And of course, I'm very tough with them, so, because I have to keep in mind, so. They think this is Brazil, which is, I told them, listen, left Brazil a little while ago. Brazil is even worse now, a lot tougher when it comes to permitting. And actually, I do thank you guys for doing this type of work, because if you guys don't do it, we'll have no trees left, and no water conservation at all, so. It's, a lot of the time, people might not like you guys, but actually, I'm the other way around, so I do like it, so. Thank you for your work, so. I fill it out to the best of my knowledge. I can leave this with you guys. I need a copy for myself, so.
Oh, yeah, we can make one after the meeting.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it.
All right. Does anybody have availability on Saturday, 9:30 to do a site walk?
Saturday, 9:30 a.m.
Yes.
For this property?
No, different property.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we done
Yes.
talking
Oh,
about this
yeah,
one?
yeah,
I'm good.
yeah.
Okay. I will send you a list. There's a couple of websites. We don't have our own like really nice list of suggested
No, no,
trees and
it's-
shrubs,
it's-
but other conservation commissions do.
No, it's,
So I will just like steal from one of them and,
okay, yeah,
and
exactly,
send
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Send
So
that
he
to
needs a
you.
copy of the paperwork that he filled out, is,
Yeah, I'll make a, he filled it out, he just wants a copy, so maybe.
I just want a
Tony,
copy for myself, I'll leave you guys
Okay.
the
Do you wanna make him a
original.
copy?
Okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
The site walk on Oak Street for 9:30 on Saturday.
I can't do
I
that.
can.
Okay.
I can't do, having,
You're
having
cool.
some family,
No, that's fine.
for early Thanksgiving.
All right.
Oh,
Thank
sad.
you very
Thank you
much.
guys, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
That's all right. So, Rich, you're good?
Yep.
Anybody else? Okay. Okay.
What number, Oak?
67 or 68, I forget.
If you see his truck, his big yellow truck, you'll see.
Yeah,
Just
you
look
can't
at
miss
the
it.
truck.
Yeah, the diesel truck, I hear it before I
But you
see
gotta
it.
you gotta go in from Adam Street. Next to the, new store. The new pot store.
670.
The pot one on
Yeah.
Adams. yeah.
Right near the pot place.
It's right next door to that.
No correspondence that I know of? Somebody wanna make a motion to adjourn?
I just wanna, so, when I come back in March, before then, I'll try to make as many, sidewalks and
Yeah, like
whatever I can do,
Like we talked about at the last meeting.
you know.
Do what you can do, kid.
You know, when I come back, I'll
Yep.
be back, so.
Good luck with your school and your
Yeah,
training.
good luck.
You'll do
You're
well.
gonna do
Am I
great.
the only one that doesn't know where you're going?
I start the fire academy, pretty soon, so.
Yeah. So if you,
Thank
you know where the new pot.
Pot store,
Yeah.
All right, somebody wanna make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.